Hello, BHD Sports Podcast listeners. After enjoying our summer break and taking some time off, we're back with episode 15. We're pumped to have a great lineup of guests this fall, but we're starting off with a really good friend of mine, Cole Reschny, goalie in the Junior A League here for Lacrosse, but he's also the current captain of the St. Mary's Lacrosse team. He's a lot better on the lacrosse field than he is on the golf course, but overall, he's a great guy. He does a lot for the lacrosse community here and gives back coaching the Junior A Rebels. And Cole, welcome to the show, buddy.
Thanks for having me, guys. I'm really glad my golf game already came up this early in the episode, so I know I'm going to have a good time today.
I'm going to pump your tires a bit. I got to let some air out so your head doesn't get too big.
Oh, yeah. I guess so. That's only 50-50 that way.
Hibby loves leading with a nice solid chirp just to get you, right into the episode there. So I appreciate that.
Yeah, it's
a nice welcome.
A good icebreaker to give you a little roast, bring it up to 350. But yeah, Adam's going to kick us off with our first question here.
I guess my first question is, how old were you when you started playing lacrosse?
I started really late. So in Alberta, like a lot of guys were starting when they're like in grade 5 or so, or not grade 5, when they're 5 years old or even younger sometimes. But I didn't get started until I was around 13 years old, and I actually got into it because my younger brother, I saw him playing. I was like, oh man, like I could do that. That sounds really cool. And I wasn't nearly as coordinated as him whatsoever. So I kind of hopped to that goalie position. And that's kind of where I found my niche in the game. And that grew into me playing field lacrosse from there. But yeah, I can safely say usually it's the other way around where you start following after your older siblings, but I definitely followed after my younger one in that case.
Is that like was it kind of like a heated rivalry in the Reschny house as well when it came to competition? Like, did you guys like going at each other, or how old? What's the age gap with you and your brother?
He's just 2 years younger than me, so there's definitely always that.
There's always a bit of juices flowing. You always want to get the competitive edge.
Yeah, exactly. Absolutely.
Well, he's always like, I remember specifically, he's like, "Oh yeah, go throw your gear on. I'm gonna go shooting you on the backyard. Like I'm gonna go light you up. I'm gonna go do this." Like telling how he's gonna work me. So it usually didn't go that way, but we'll see if that continues to go on.
That's awesome, man. That's so valuable too, to have a brother that can push you and make you, you guys obviously you love each other, but it's fun to have that competition and push each other to get better. I think everyone wins in that situation, right?
Totally.
So you're in your 5th year now, right? At with SMU Lacrosse, buddy?
I am. So this is my 5th year at SMU. I'm a finance and marketing major, and I'm planning to graduate this December, but this will only be my 3rd year with the team itself. I actually transferred from university in Alberta to here 3 years ago now, which is crazy to think.
That's awesome, man. And we were at the Goresbrook last night for a fundraiser there, and it was a great turnout, a great group of guys. That was a lot of fun. So thanks for having me out last night, boys. That was a great group of guys, and we had a great time. So if there's going to be events in the future, make sure you send an email my way, would you?
Absolutely. Well, that's the thing too. I don't think Hemi introduced one of my titles there as well. I'm also the president of the team. So essentially, how SMU Lacrosse works is it's a lot different than your normal sports program where it's an adult or somebody external to the program running it. SMU Lacrosse is all student run and it's all student oriented. So there's a nice division there where we get to decide what we're doing with our own team too, but that also leaves us with the flexibility of how we're going to fundraise money for our team besides everybody paying team fees. And that alumni event that you were at last night was a huge success for the team, and that's how we're raising money for our bus trips and jerseys and whatnot.
That's so wicked, man. And I really liked what you said last night too, when we talk about, like sports programs and making it in that family atmosphere. And you guys have definitely done that. You saw alums from, from many years back coming out last night and supporting the team. So I think it's just a testament of how special that program is and what you guys have going on. It's awesome to see.
Yeah, for sure. Well, even with that sense of family too, those guys haven't seen each other for 10 plus years or sometimes even longer than that. And it's really cool to see something that's bigger than you coming together as one, because I don't know a lot of the guys, especially not being from around here, but just seeing that we all had something in common, being university athletes in a club sport program like SMU Lacrosse, it just ties everybody together in a special way too.
Absolutely.
Yeah, being a SMU Lacrosse president, that's not an easy job at all. Like it's a lot of work between like having to organize travel and field times and everything, and dealing with the league. Like it truly is like almost like a general manager kind of level position of how much effort. And I mean, I was really lucky that I got to play my last year with Cole as El Prez of the team. But yeah, I kind of want to lead into this next question, because this is one that really interests me, and I don't think I've ever asked you this before, and I've been best buddies with you since your roof fell off when you first moved to Halifax. We'll get into that later.
Okay, there's a story there for sure.
But so you're a goalie in box lacrosse, but why do you play out in field, other than the fact that playing field goalie sucks? But
well, that was the thing too. Like I just didn't want to get hit with the ball with no gear on whatsoever. It's completely different than box too. Like when I'm wearing 4 inches of padding, it doesn't hurt when I get hit with the ball, but it's a different kind of crazy to top in the net without any kind of pads on your legs or on your arms or anything like that. So I strayed away from that as much as possible. And you've definitely seen me out on the field. I'm not a pretty runner whatsoever, so I need something where I can stay in one area and hopefully succeed with a couple hits and slashes in there.
Oh, that's amazing. Oh,
all right,
man.
Danny, we're going to tee you up for a question, buddy.
I'm a person of leadership. What's your leadership style like?
That's a good question, actually. I don't necessarily think I have a specific leadership style. I like to look at other leaders and how they have done it before in the past, especially being captain and the president. There's two different sides that I need to pull on there, where I need to be really hard on the guys and make sure everybody's there on time, but I also need to be their best friend and teach them, because with SMU Lacrosse, we're going to have guys that are a lot better than me, and there's going to be guys that pick up the stick for the first time in university too. So it's finding that dynamic between that right there. But I would say flexible is probably the best way to describe that, where I'm balancing between being encouraging and then pushing people to their limits kind of way.
That's a great answer, and it can be tough to have multiple roles like that too, right? And you got to put your captain face on and your president face on as well. So I think it just is a testament to how much respect the guys have for you and how much trust they have in your leadership, man. I think that goes a long way and says a lot about you, man. Thanks,
I appreciate that. Maybe Hemmy has a point out onto that too, because he was the captain for a long time on that topic too, but he also saw me come up as president and captain when he was an older student. So any kind of points there would be great.
Yeah, I mean, it's like SMU Lacrosse was especially my last year, and what you're probably experiencing the last 2 years too, is that like we were older guys on the team, being in like our mid 20s, but then you also get guys who are 18 years old and it's their first time like out in university. And not only do you have like guys who like are like just moving into Halifax for the first time, but like you also have like a lot of people that are just like, okay, like a couple like guys who are a bit more shy, and then like SMU Lacrosse really gets them to open up. Like there's a couple players, for example, like that came to our team in my last year, Paul LaPierre and James Eric Elward, two paddler guys that I was able to convince to pick up the stick and play. And those guys have both come up to me and say that like, oh yeah, like being a part of SMU Lacrosse has been the best part of my university experience. Brady Beaver being another paddler guy that we were able to get the stick. And I mean, it's such an inclusive sport that really like people can pick up the stick and they can learn it if they want to put the time and the effort in. But you have to make as much time for them as being like a captain and the leader of the SMU lacrosse team as you would trying to perfect your power play. So it's because every single person is an important member of the team. Like Paul, for example, is a guy who just started the sport last year, just learning how to play long pole. It's important for our upper leadership group to take the time to like help them out with stick skills and some of the stuff that was just basic lacrosse for us to really learn the game. And then now he's a starting long pole for St. Mary's, and from the games that I've seen this year, he's been playing really well. So it's like the success of the team is not just based on of how you can get your best players to play, but how you can get the whole roster rounded out and get everybody involved. And that's why, as you mentioned, Chris, that it's such a good family.
Yeah, I think that's that culture. If you can bring that culture to any sort of program, like, you are going to build, a powerhouse. And I think you guys you're making all the right moves. You guys are, like I said last night, anytime you can get alumni together like that, and you hear, how people are so happy that they did this, and they love the game because of their time with your program. Like, as a coach, what else do you want to hear other than that? Or as an owner, what else do you oh yeah, everyone loves it coming and working for me or playing for me or whatever it is. I mean, that's the essence of being great. If you want people to be a part of your program, you're only going to keep, bringing good things and making good things happen. And I think it's awesome what you guys have built, and it's just super cool. I can't wait to follow it more closely and get the updates from you all the time, Cole, because I just really admire that family culture that you guys built, and it was evident last night seeing the guys for sure.
Yeah, for sure. And last night was our first time ever doing an event like that, and it was a huge success too. But like Kimmy said, we're a huge mixing pot. We're completely different people that share having lacrosse in common too. Like, from different skill sets, all the way from not knowing how to play to being a really good skilled player, and you need to pass that down to each person individually on the roster too. So it's a unique dynamic in that way too, but it just brings us together so much more, just because everybody's so different in their own way, and everybody wants to be there for the right reasons. Everybody's there to have fun, and everybody's there to win, and that is the culture that we're building around the team. And hopefully it'll keep growing more. Like, I know even just in my past 3 years with the team, I've seen it change dramatically, just with the amount of culture change that guys have had towards wanting to be better as individuals rather than or as a team rather than individuals. It's more about building that depth on our roster than just having a good starting 9.
For sure. And like, you guys have taken so many steps. I know, and I wanted to ask you about this because having your guys' first bus trip, taking the boys on the road on a bus, like, what was that experience like for guys that, it was their first time being a part of a team like that, where, we get to go on the road to UPEI in a battle, and just the experience that was like for the team what was that like?
I'm sure Emmy will attest to it too. Like, it means the world, especially to those older guys that haven't seen any of that. And our alumni, I know a lot of alumni were messaging saying, hey, I never got a bus during my time with the team. Like, this is fantastic. Like, it's glad to see that the team is being run in the way that it's growing and growing. And it's more of an incentive for players to come and play for us when we're taking buses to games. We're getting additional merchandise and stuff like that, just additional incentives to be more inclusive and want to be a part of the team rather than just dishing out a bunch of money to go and play lacrosse on the field. You get to represent your team through bus trips, through wearing the SMU lacrosse merch like I'm wearing right now, and just it adds on to the university experience.
Absolutely, it does, man.
And our buddy Danny here, he's a big SMU Huskies fan. He's always been a supporter, especially of the women's soccer and women's hockey teams, which I think I've told you, Danny. But Kaylee Meerod, a captain of SMU women's hockey, is Cole's girlfriend, and they live together here in Halifax. Now I'm going to lead into the roof story because both of you moved into the Halifax together, moving from Red Deer, Alberta, and that was her Hurricane Dorian. I also apologize. My voice is still absolutely shot from the Arkells concert on Friday. I sound like I smoked about 10 packs this weekend, but yeah, Cole, I'll let you let you kind of talk about that, because that's kind of when I met you, was when you were storing your lacrosse gear in my basement after the roof came off your apartment when you first moved to Halifax.
Yeah, what a better way to meet people on the team than to store my lacrosse gear and hang out there all day, because I literally had nowhere else to go. But essentially, Kaylee was here playing hockey a year before I moved out here, just with her commitment status with the Huskies previously, and I was going to university in Alberta, like I said before, but I had to transfer universities regardless. So I made the decision to come out here and got all of our stuff packed up. Kaylee was out here early for training camp, got the apartment all set up with her mom, and it was perfect. And I landed, we got our place all set up, like everything was great. And the hurricane was coming in, Hurricane Dory, and we're like, oh, okay, like nothing looks too bad, like no trees around the building, like what could possibly go wrong? Like the car is like parked in a really safe spot, and we actually ended up Kaylee didn't see it happen, but I was looking out the window when it happened. But the roof on the building next to ours, so it was our building over here and the next building over here, the roof flipped off of this building, rolled onto our building, and fell onto the parking lot of all of our vehicles, and it just demolished our building, and it resulted in tons of flooding inside the building. So we had to evacuate during the hurricane itself. Me and Kaylee, I remember this so vividly, running over to the hockey house a couple blocks down in the middle of the eye of the hurricane, just because we had nowhere else to go while our place was being evacuated. But from there, we were bouncing around from Airbnbs for my first 3 months in Halifax. So that was a nice little welcome. Thank you, Dorian. I really appreciate that. But yeah,
that is wild, man.
It was crazy. Like we were bouncing around. We were staying out in Spratfield, out in Bedford for like one night, and then we'd be driving out to Dartmouth to stay in a hotel there. And then all while Kaylee's doing like 7 a.m., 6 a.m. hockey practices too. So she was an absolute trooper about that. But it worked out great for me, because Brett and a couple other guys on the team were living in a house really close to the university, and I had nowhere else to store my gear. And they said, yeah, come and air out your gear after practice, like come and hang out with us like whenever you want. So that definitely got me involved in their friend group and involved with the team more, because all those guys were already a part of the executive team. And I think that's what kind of led me into being a part of the executive team itself with St. Mary's.
My thing, well, I've been around St. Mary's and been around, as Hemi just said, numerous Huskies teams, and every time I go around, whether it's the football team, the women's soccer team, the men's hockey team, like they're always so welcoming. Like being a St. Mary's Husky to me is what I'm meant to be, like, because that's just so family oriented. It's crazy.
So much pride. Like that's the thing that I love so much, is just like everyone that is a part of SMU, and you don't even have to be playing, or you're passionate about the athletic program. Like it's just a super cool and prideful thing to have, for sure, that Husky pride.
Absolutely. Well, that's sorry, Danny, you go ahead.
I bet you the rain that we got during Fiona, I bet you the rain coming down on Husky Stadium was white and maroon. I swear to God.
It must have been. They had the lights going down on it, got the dye in the rain too, I'm pretty sure. But it means a lot coming. I think it has something to do with St. Mary's being one of the smallest campuses in all of Canada too. It makes it such a tight-knit family that you're bound to run into people, and you're bound to be so condensed with all the other students on campus. You guys are all in the same boat, so I think that plays a big factor in as well.
For sure, that's a good point.
Yeah, that was an awesome point about the Husky Stadium. And little announcement: the league hasn't really kind of said this, but championship weekend is being hosted by SMU this year.
Wow!
So it's going to be awesome to see the championship game for the university league played on home turf.
Yeah,
Is
on the
it-
brand new turf as well.
It's
Yeah.
single elimination games in the playoffs, right, Cole? Am I right
It
in saying
is.
that? Okay.
Yeah,
that-
so
I
the
mean,
first and second teams will get a bye for the first round, and then 3 through 6 will play in a bracket style and then work their way up.
Gotcha. Wow. That's wicked. Oh, that's huge. I hope to be working it, man. I hope I'll be working it there, or I'll be around for sure. What date is the championship weekend, boys? I know we're jumping ahead here, but
I believe it's November 4th to 6th.
okay, perfect.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
the first few games are on like the Friday night, and then like all day Saturday championship game on Sunday. But yeah, we'll have all the boys out there cheering on and supporting. It's going to be really exciting to see, and anything to get championship a weekend away from Dow Field. Like the Dow Field is terrible. I've never liked playing on it.
Yeah, because you've always played on Dow Field for championship weekend too, huh? You were
Yeah,
never
all
anywhere
5
else.
years of mine, they had it in Dow. We were really hoping. There was like 1 year there was like talk that it could have been at X, which would have been a really fun weekend, win or lose. But yeah, no, Dow just always stepped up to host it. But big game on Wednesday coming up versus Dow. How's the team preparing and getting ready to play like a juggernaut organization like Dow?
Well, it's tough to go up against such a big school itself already, but we always aspire to go and beat Dow in a game. And whether that game is going to be this Wednesday, undetermined right now. But our end goal is to meet Dow in that championship final and to beat them and hold that cup above our heads. But in terms of preparing for that, I don't think like I said earlier, going back to the depth, it's making sure all 26 of our guys on the roster are ready to play. It's not just the starting 9 that are going to be able to go and play 60 minutes, because I know my lungs can't make it through a full 60-minute game without a couple breaks in there. So we need a group collective effort, and I know our coaches are going to be prepared with a good practice on Monday to go over our systems and a little bit of film review of our game against PI that we had this weekend.
So
What's
who's
that, Adam?
next?
Go ahead, brother. Why don't you lead us off in your next question?
All right. What was the adjustment like of being a student athlete? Like, you're, they say you're a student first, then an athlete second. But like, what's it like balancing like practices, games, class, and at the university level? I have yet to ask a university athlete that question.
That's a good question. Like, it's very interesting. I'm sure everybody on the team will have their own dynamic too, but we can't plan our class schedule around our practices or anything like that. So we actually have night practices. So it makes it easier in that regard that most guys are available during those late times to practice with us. But it does make the challenge of where do you fit in your free time? Because I know I find that I get dragged in being the president one way, then I have to go do school the next. So it's flipping back between the two with no specific schedule to that in those regards. But hopping between being an athlete and a student is not an easy thing either. You gotta go play a game on a Sunday and then be ready for your test Monday morning at 8 a.m. How do you prepare for that when you are trying to prepare your body physically and mentally for the game that you are going to have over the weekend too? It's not an easy thing, which I guess is the eternal struggle of being a university athlete in the first place. But I wouldn't give it up for anything. I know a lot of guys would go back to have that opportunity again to be in classes and be going to those late practices with the boys. And because that's where you make your memories, is at practice. I think the games are the fun of it all, but the practices are where you're going to make your best friendships.
And that's, I mean, that's where you put the work in and you really get to know the people too, right? Like that's when nobody's watching, and that's when champions work the hardest. So, and I remember you saying last night at one point that, you guys were bringing it together week by week or day by day to get better and better, so that at the end, You guys are a force to be reckoned with. So I think that's awesome. Henry, do you have another question for Cole?
Yeah, I think just my my last kind of question is that like after like you got one more year left of SMU lacrosse, but you were also the first round pick in the senior draft here, playing in the Nova Scotia Senior League. You cut out there for a sec, Cole. You good, buddy?
Yeah, sorry, I didn't catch any of that last question there.
Oh, no worries, buddy. Yeah, but you got 1 year left of your career at SMU, but you're also the first round pick for the Fighting Orangutans, which is still the most badass name in sports. Being a part of the Monkey organization myself too, but like, where do you see like lacrosse and like sports for yourself, like after university, still having options in the senior league and maybe elsewhere?
Yeah, for sure. Well, I hope to be part of the St. Mary's program after I leave too, whether that's through a form of coaching or volunteering my time to help set up for game days or whatnot. But that's to be determined by the future executive team, which I'm sure they'll be in good hands too. But I'd love to go to Prague with the Privateers, Nova Scotia Privateers. That's a big goal of mine, to head over there and play box cross internationally. And I know I've been striving to go play in the LL East Division out in Ottawa or Ontario. They're rather around the GTA area. So hopefully that ends up happening, and I'll keep working towards that over the next couple of years. But right now I'm fine where I'm at with the Fighting Orangutans organization. We had a tough loss at the Hustle in our 5-game series this year, but I think we're going to bounce back after having such a young roster this year, especially.
Get revenge.
Yeah, exactly.
Love that. Adam, did you have any last questions for Cole here before we get out of here for the night, buddy?
Yeah, with your busy schedule, yourself with your sports and stuff, you get to see any other SMU sports, or are you mainly just busy with everything else?
Oh, of course. Well, I'm the biggest fan of the women's hockey team. I have to be when Kaylee's the captain too. So I'm usually at most of their games too. I'm driving to X for a lot of their games just because it's really good competition there. But I'm definitely going to be here for all the home games this winter. And same thing when they're at Dalhousie, I'll be there as much as I can too. Usually it doesn't conflict with our schedule all that much too. So I love going and watching that team. It is really good hockey, and I encourage anybody else who is around Halifax to go and watch the women's hockey team play.
Yeah, they've got a very, very solid program there, and I'm looking forward to seeing you at the rink and supporting our Lady Huskies for sure.
Yeah, and they've been such a strong team over the last few years too, like being nationally ranked last year. It's you're gonna have to help us get Kaylee on the show sometime soon, because I know
Absolutely.
we're all big fans of Kaylee. So
yeah, maybe we'll do a dual episode sometime, just the two captains in the same house together. It's an interesting power dynamic for sure.
That would be sweet. That's a great idea.
I
totally
still think the funniest thing ever was when I walked into your house and you had your what was the award you got, the SMU Lacrosse award you got last year?
Oh, I think it's the most dedicated ball.
Most dedicated award. All around Kaylee's U Sports all academic Canadians. It was
league all-star, rookie of the year, blah blah blah, like just surrounded by all of her great accolades. And then I get my one little lacrosse ball on the shelf. But like I said earlier before we started recording too, I don't win a whole lot of trophies or medals like that, so I got to make sure to flaunt it when I get it.
I love it.
Oh, that's amazing. Well, we were so happy to have you on, buddy. So thanks so much for taking time out of your evening here and joining us and sharing your stories. And can't wait to follow you guys this season. And good luck with the rest of the year. And just know that us Huskies, we're proud of you, man. All the hard work you guys are doing.
Thank you, guys. I appreciate it. And if anybody listening ever has a chance to come watch the SMU men's lacrosse team, come play a couple of games, and the women's lacrosse team as well. That's a growing organization with us that falls under SMU as well too. So make sure you come and support us as much as possible. It's really great lacrosse to watch too.
That's amazing. So that does it for now for episode 15 of BHD Sports Podcast. Thanks everyone for tuning in, and we look forward to, you know, after the summer break, you know, I think we picked right up where we left off with having an awesome guest on tonight, and we can't wait to keep bringing you guys content and keep supporting our athletes out there. So thanks everyone for tuning in, and have a good night.